I'd like to ask Richard Parnham, who I believe is also online, to speak to us.
Thank you. In December, Oxford County Council agreed to create a congestion citizens assembly with a specific brief to assess the likely effectiveness of expanded zero-emission zone traffic filters and workplace parking levy. To a large extent, this is not what happened. Instead, someone at the council decided to bolt on deliberations of these highly contentious Oxford traffic schemes to an existing citizens assembly, which had a different brief covering the whole of Oxfordshire. As a result, we ended up with an assembly comprising 2/3 of members who did not live at Oxford, calling for the city to be car-free. That's very easy to say if you mostly don't live here, a bit like OCC's cabinet, in fact. To accommodate this shift in focus, the assembly was supposed to get substantial extra hours to debate these contentious schemes. However, opponents barely got 2 hours one weekday morning and were only allowed to speak between 3 and 5 minutes. Rather than engaging in meaningful debate, which was not allowed, we had to sit through a lengthy academic presentation on lessons learned from conflict in Africa, which wasted time and was not relevant. I would have liked to raise issues regarding the lack of electric charging parking in Oxford's car parks, but I wasn't allowed to because no debate was permitted. Opponents weren't even allowed to stay for the half-day session on the workplace parking levy, even though cheerleaders of the council schemes were allowed to remain. I would have liked to develop debate of the fundamental merits of the workplace parking levy, but was given no opportunity to do so because I wasn't invited to attend. The terms of reference explicitly allowed the Assembly to discuss alternative ideas. However, the speakers were giving a briefing note which basically says you can't challenge existing decisions. We had to kick up a huge fuss in advance, unlike what Danny Yee says, to be given the right to what the council had specifically said we could do. The Assembly was supposed to have an advisory group that included local businesses and faith groups. It barely had any business representation at all, and no OBAG were not invited, no faith representation whatsoever. Instead, the advisory group was stuffed with public sector representatives and several of the same lobby groups, including those we hear from today, that have heavily pushed the council's toxic transport policies all along. Indeed, some advisory board members also spoke at the event, which raises a whole host of governance issues. In short, the Assembly bore no resemblance to what the Council tasked it to do. And the good news is that many of the Assembly proposals will never see the light of day because current Oxford residents because this administration will soon be shelved out of office when tens of thousands of regular folk, not just
30 seconds,
will tell you Oxford County Councillors, cabinet members assembled to sling their hook. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anne Gwinnett, I believe you want to come. You're in the room. Would you like to come to